Welcome back to the walkthrough series of Symphony Series Brass by Soundiron. And on this video, we're going to be looking at the horns. So we've got two solo horns and the horn ensemble, which again is 8 horns. And they sound just great. Really massive sound without sounding too bloated. And they've got that nice reverberant crack. Now, as in the previous videos, we know where the articulations sit. We know how we can swap out articulations and all that stuff. And I'm going to show you the patches I've made with the core horns articulation for the solo and the ensemble. Now, for this first solo horn, you're provided with 2 horns, so you can do even more interesting chords with different timbres of sound over the 2 horns. And this is the first horn. I've got sustain forte on the first key switch. And then I've got staccato triple tongue on the next one. And then I've got the pianissimo staccato on the next key switch for more softer bouncing staccato. And then I've got the staccato tongue stop, which gives you a great staccato with a nice stop accent. And we've got this sforzando fast, as usual. And I like to keep articulations like sforzendos and decrescendos and swells in each of my patches. So that way, when I'm playing different articulations with each instrument, there'll always come a point in the song where all of the brass instruments will need to come together and unite in one articulation to perform a sforzando together or to perform a decrescendo together. And that is why I always have these key switches here. And they're usually on the same keys, but I'll switch them around for different instruments depending on what other articulations there are. But yeah, it's a good way to keep the patches together. So you have your individual articulations for each brass instrument, but then you've always got those articulations that are same across the board. So you'll always have that uniting tone and be able to play the same articulations across the board. All right. Now we've got the swell fast again. And the forte staccato, which is good for more accented action moments. And then there's the swell slows, which again are good for finishing off a piece. All right, now we'll move on to the second horn. The second horn, I've got pretty much the same articulation set up, but the second horn sounds a little bit more brassy, a little darker, if that makes sense. And I'll give you a listen to that. And we got the sustained stop mute. And the pianissimo staccato. Then the forte staccato. And you also notice that the range is changed for the second horn, because the second horn is obviously a different type of horn instrument, and it's got a different range than the original one. And we got the sforzando fast. And the swell fast, again, put the swells and the sforzandos towards the end so we can have a whole lot of instruments that have the same articulations at some point. The bend stopped. That's a really good articulation for adding character to a moment. And then finally, again, we've got these slow swells. So 2 really great solo horns there. And there's no effects provided for the solo horns. What you see is what you get here. But there are effects for the ensemble horns. And we'll move on to the ensemble horns now. Now we've got our ensemble horns, which is 8 horns. Again, we've got the sustain all, which allows you to crossfade through all the dynamic layers. Now, I'll let you have a quick listen to the scripted legato, because really there is a difference between loud horns playing and going full belt, and being able to use scripted legato and getting away with that, because the transitions do have to be quicker, and oftentimes they won't use transitions when they're playing. They'll just stop tongue and then move on to the next note, especially when you have to do really loud playing. It's only when you get towards the softer, more soulful kind of playing where legato really comes into play, and it's it really has an effect when you notice it. So that is a bit of a difference between brass when it comes to the difference between brass and strings and woodwinds. Brass can get away with having scripted legato transitions or no legato at all during loud playing because it's natural. And you only really need the legato transitions when you get to the softer playing. That's where it really matters. So quick tip there for people who are writing for horns and who think that they need to use legato all the time. You don't. Not for the really loud stuff. Now, sustain all. So as you can hear there, really nice, rich sound. No problem with the transitions, nice and quick. If you do want to make the transitions a little longer and more noticeable, you can move the response up or down. So the response keeps it at a generally noticeable noticeable transition. But if you move that response right up, it'll make it even quicker. So yeah, now we've got the sustained flutter tongue, which is great. We've got the staccato again across all the dynamic layers. Sounds really great. And we've got the step up. Really great for those triumphant moments. Again, we've got the similar articulations so that we can match performances over the brass. And the slow swell. Really nice long held note there. We've got the bend down, which is a popular articulation. I'm sure you've heard that in every movie ever. And finally, we've got the decrescendo. It's a nice, warm, soft decrescendo there. Now we've also got the mutes for the horns, which is great. Not too many articulations. We've just got the sustained stop mute, the staccato stop mute, and the marcato stop mute. So if you want to switch over to the stops, so let's say you've got your little stop section there in the symphony and you want to get some nice accents out of it, you can use the sustain. And then switch to staccato. Really nice, powerful, expansive sound there. And then finally the marcato. So a nice stop sound. And to finish off, we'll move on to the horns effects, and there's a really great selection of effects here. You can go wild and put the most crazy things in your compositions, and I'll run you through them. The bend down. Which is obviously a different kind of bend. It's a less controlled bend, a more chaotic bend over the keys. We got the staccato clusters. Sweep up. We've got the breaths, which are very, very, they're very faint. So you might want to, if you're using the breaths, you might want to turn that articulation right up. You can just hear that. And that's great if you want to go for, like, if you're doing a soulful legato performance and you want to sort of hear the breath behind it, really adds that human touch to the performance. We've got tuning. Valve clearing. Which is a great little thing to have. We've got the warm-ups. And of course, on top of that, we've got the warm-up loops. So as you can hear, the warm-up still going, because I've got the release set to high. And they're great little things to have if you want to have them in the background. And the warm-up loops are basically the same things, but they loop over and over and over again, so you can sort of just keep them there forever if you want. So those are the horns. Really great sound. As you know, horns tend to be the instrument of most scrutiny when it comes to a brass library. People don't like them too mellow, but people don't like them too nasally with a bunch of treble. And these horns were recorded with a nice balance. The 8-horn ensemble makes it sound massive, so you get the mellow sound out of it, but you also get that nice crack, which makes it a great horn ensemble recording. And again, with the 2 horns, you can do an array of different things. And those 2 horns are also provided with legato, which we'll look at in a different video. So that's it for the horns. I hope you enjoyed listening to the various articulations and the great sounds that are available in the Symphony series brass ensemble so far. And now we're going to move on to the low brass. We're going to look at the tubas, or tuban, and the contrabass tubas and tuban. So I'll see you in the next video. Check you there.